Welcome back. Next session, short title, AI events and the digital smile. Sounds quite promising and really glad to welcome here today three panelists. So let's start first with the ladies, which is Romika Bhowmick from Teva. Hi Romika, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dario?
Not bad, not bad. Almost Friday, right? So can't complain. Then we
Absolutely.
have our fellow speaker, Jose Maria Guido from Sanofi. Jose Maria, how are you? And pleased with the Thanos cup, which you have.
Hi Dario. Yes, I'm drinking on my Thanos cup. I'm really good, thank you, and I hope that you're doing well.
Thank you very much. And Mark Benthin, the CEO of VIIHEALTH. Mark, how's it going?
Well, it's every day is a new day, right? So this is exciting.
Exactly. So let's deep dive into the conversation. And we have Jose Maria, who prepared an extraordinary presentation to set the stage. So, Jose Maria, the stage is yours.
Thank you. And basically, this is just a small set of slides that I want to use to inspire some thoughts on you. We may not have the answers, but I think it's very important for us to start asking these questions. So first, the recap on Digital Smile, right? Because if you didn't participate in the previous masterclass, this would be a good catch-up. Last time we were talking about that in face-to-face engagements, you normally know if your HCP is happy or if it's angry or if it's sad. But in a digital world, how do you know if the HCP was happy? So the question that we had was, what is that digital equivalent of a smile, right? So, and then we were back in the day in the previous masterclass, we were using actually data from a customer journey, and we were showing how to identify that digital smile. If you're interested in the link, let me know and I will send it to you, or Mark also can send it to you. And today I wanted to connect that topic because we're talking about artificial intelligence and the digital smile. And you may have heard this concept this week, which was a hype this week because of Mark Zuckerberg talking about it, about the metaverse, right? Which is the digital world where the real and the virtual merge into a vision of science fiction and allows people to move between different devices and communicate in a virtual environment. So obviously this sounds very futuristic and super complex, but actually if you connect it to the digital smile, which I was thinking, how do the digital smile connects with this concept of the metaverse? And if you see, you have the real world on one side, you have the virtual world on the other side, and in between those converge in this metaverse where people interact and have real experiences, which is, to me, this is fascinating, right? Because virtual activities are giving now not digital experiences. In the past, we used to talk about good digital experiences, customer experiences, but now the concept is going into how virtual can provide a real experience. And a real experience, it's a key factor for making someone happy. Because if you're now if you're in a digital world now, the real experience is very difficult to achieve. And just to move forward and not to delay more time for the questions, something that I wanted to tell you, you or someone you know has already been in the metaverse, right? So these are some of the examples. So if you own Bitcoin or any of these cryptocurrencies, you are already in the metaverse. If your kids have played Roblox or Fortnite, this is also another metaverse, you know? So this is closer to us than we thought. So my thinking is, what does the metaverse it looks like for healthcare, right? So these are all of the things that could include in the metaverse for healthcare. Artificial intelligence is one of them, which is our main topic today, but also there is virtual reality, augmented reality, Internet of Medical Devices, you name it. So in the research that I did before this webinar, I identified that some of the activities in the metaverse that are taking place right now include virtual reality to give medical training, augmented reality in surgical procedures, and also even some patient outcomes already showing that there is an improvement in quality of life of dementia patients as well, or even projects where they have been giving guidance to new mothers with breastfeeding through augmented reality too. So in the future, so is this going to look like? So this is my question, right? So we are now in Zoom, Teams, and everything, and now you know that Facebook has this new workspace virtual that is launching. So is this really the future? Are we really going into that metaverse or not? Right. So this is this is my presentation that I wanted to use for kicking the conversation.
Thank you, Jose Maria. Really nicely said. And this leads us to the first question, which is, will Bitcoin reach $100,000 this year? Just kidding. You mentioned Bitcoin, so we can maybe start with that question. But again, so let's deep dive into the serious conversation and start with Romika, which is how to develop the human touch, or actually digital smile, within digital transformation. And if you would like to answer about Bitcoin, you can, of course.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dario. And very interesting thought, Jose Maria, as well, actually. We think it's futuristic, but we are actually living that future ourselves as well in many other, industry spaces and real world scenarios. And for us, digital smile means that we are focused on customer centricity. So now that we have so many channels of engagement, we have also opportunity of, taking feedback from the customers from various touch points, which is their preferred channel of communication, and are we actually reaching the customer at the right time with the right content, with the bite-sized content, and engaging because of the opportunities that we have through several channels, which are not just physical web-based, but also virtual. And marrying the two together would actually create that smile, and it's also about, having that overall, customer engagement strategy married with our digital strategy. And that's the key for us to actually create that digital smile. And that's the digital transformation, also, which we embed in our, projects and efforts.
Thank you, Romika. Mark, same two questions for you.
Well, I think as we're talking down the road of events and trying to identify at what point are we able to identify the smile. The metaverse concept is a continuing combination of the participation in events, but bringing in more relevant data. More relevant experiences that then take you into other places. But if we boil it down to what an event is all about, it's about connecting people to other people and connecting people to information that is relevant for what they're trying to do. And I think the process is still somewhat of a funnel of bringing people to the event. I think the difference though now is that an event is not necessarily just a moment in time. It can be a moment that lives on in time. And that's maybe where the metaverse becomes interesting, is because you've got something that did happen, that perhaps certain people participated in a real world way or in a digital event, but perhaps after the fact, there is other participation around that event that can continue, conversations that can be live, new information that can be brought to bear, other links to other information. You could see a sort of quasi nascent metaverse being able to exist around events because there's such new information. There's new material that's being generated all the time, which is really what physicians are interested in and what their patients are hearing about through various websites and chat forums. So that's what can help to drive this process forward. But I think it's a stepwise approach. It's trying to continue to bring the value of an event, that connectivity, to as wide and as deep an audience as possible, but on the back of it, try also to bring the additional data and connected content and other materials to them as they're digging, as they're consuming, and to do all that in a way that doesn't feel like it's arduous. At the end of the day, most of the physicians are still challenged with time in the day. If you can get them to participate in a few minutes in this quasi-metaverse, maybe they'll participate a few minutes more. And I think there's a number of different interfaces out there that even exist today that kind of suck you in. And if you go on them one time, like TikTok, you spend 20 seconds, you consume that first 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden you spend 20 minutes engaging in content that you never had an interest in and to find out about. So there's different principles, I think, that can come together, and having this facility to move across different digital domains is interesting, and it certainly has applicability to events.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly the TikTok case, because if you ask me, when I saw TikTok, I still have the same opinion. I think it's rubbish, but the consumption, what you see based on the real data, is that people are consuming currently TikTok and spending the most of the time on TikTok compared to Instagram or Facebook or some other social media, right? Jose Maria, same question for you.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree to what Romika and Mark said. If I can build on what they were saying, I think it comes back to identifying that moment of truth for when the doctor and the HCP it's looking for the information, right? Because I think this is something that we haven't been able to do so far. I think that until now, we as an industry, we have been focused more on pushing the topics, right? That we want to push, that well, not bombarding, but email blasts, we started with email blasts and then getting data, identifying the data, and then also getting the data from CRMs, from the medical visits, which is also another push message, right? So I think that in the future, we should be looking more on really using this artificial intelligence to really be present in the moment where the doctor needs it the most. And this is exactly, I love the example that Mark was saying, because if we are able to identify that specific moment of the day or of the week or of the year where the doctor needs it, and then the artificial intelligence gives us that information, that's going to be an amazing scenario, because I don't think that nobody has achieved this so far. And the only thing that I would say, if I can play the devil's advocate, it's a big challenge in our industry. It's data privacy, right, and compliance situations, because somehow we need the flexibility from our teams and from our SOPs to help us find a way to understand these preferences without invading the privacy of our HCPs. So and then I think that when we get to that point, we will be maybe we can call it the singularity, the singularity for the pharmaceutical industry.
Definitely. So that's the main goal, right, which we should reach. Next question leads us to virtual events. From our experience, maybe as a short intro, we did a Next Normal 1 month ago. We had very same numbers like in March this year. We are now doing this masterclass. We are having even better numbers than in June when we did our last masterclass, which makes me really to think. We hear this terminology like Zoom fatigue. People are not willing to spend any more time on digital, on virtual conferences whatsoever. But we see now in some cases the opposite. So my question to you, Mark, is are virtual events here to stay even after the pandemic? So let's imagine we are completely out of this whole mess, and is virtual closed, or virtual events are still remaining in our ecosystem?
Well, I think what we've seen is an explosion events for different purposes, not just what there would have been congresses for previously or larger corporate events. You now have micro events and fit for purpose style of events that just make sense as virtual events. And I think there's also a ubiquitous acceptance now. We've all had a shared experience globally. Anybody I speak to in any country has had some kind of lockdown experience. They've had some kind of COVID experience. They've had some kind of stress from working from home experience or having the kids underfoot, whichever one it is. And I think that shared experience and our acceptance of digital allows us to now leapfrog to the next step. So virtual events, I believe, are here to stay, but that doesn't mean that there won't be hybrid events, and there won't be also traditional physical events that are offering a different experience than a virtual counterpart. Perhaps next year, Next Pharma will do physical event as well as a virtual event, but those two items might be very, very different at the end of the day. And I think that is important to make sure that you design for the event that you're having, and make sure that the customer that is participating is getting the most that that medium can provide to them, because that's what makes it relevant for them to either participate physically or virtually. And there's so many more things that can be brought into a hybrid environment as well. So I'm all for lots of events. I think the challenge again with an event is don't just push for a singular moment in time, whether it might be 2 days or 3 days or 1 day or 2 hours. Make sure that it's part of the overall mix, and the tail of the event, both the preamble and then the post event, must be well orchestrated and part of that channel mix and part of that overall journey that you're trying to represent. And I think there's many new opportunities to take advantage of those in order to go further with our relationships with our customers.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Certainly agree. And yes, we will do both virtual and live next year from our perspective.
I knew it.
Jose Maria, let's continue with you on that question. And here I would just like to add something. I remember one of our initiatives which we do together where we said that once the pandemic started, you did a webinar, you had 500 delegates. 6 months later, you had, 50, 60 delegates whatsoever, which leads that people were, from the organizer perspective, were demotivated, right? But then you said, no, it's completely wrong, because in many cases we are focused on quantity instead of quality, right? Which leads me to the same question for you. So are virtual events here to stay, and how is this data set and KPI looking nowadays, quality towards quantity?
Yeah, so actually now I like to call them vanity metrics, because it's all about making us feel good. Oh, we had 10,000 doctors, no? Oh no, we had 50,000. But it's it's not about the vanity, but actually about the quality, what you were saying.
Yeah.
Because the main point, it's interesting that you mentioned that, for example, now using this webinar today as an example, this masterclass, you're saying that you even increased your number of attendees. But what I normally think about, building on what Mark was saying, is there's always going to be people who definitely join live webinars, for sure, because we are in a path, I think we are in a path of discovering what we like, right? So in this doctors in the past, maybe they said, okay, I cannot go to the Congress, but I will join the live event. And that's why there was a huge hype of doctors joining webinars. But now they're realizing that, okay, there's too many. Now the offer is big. I can choose, right? And now even further, moving forward with this hybrid concept, they will be able to say, you know what? Well, I will go face-to-face to these events because I definitely want to travel and meet with doctors and have a networking session and learn directly and even participate in an advisory board or an investigators meeting. And there's always going to be other doctors who will have the chance to say, no, I don't want to travel. I want to join in a webinar. So it's probably going to add for more flexibility for them to be in control and decide what kind of engagement they want. And we need to understand that virtual events will play a role, not as big as they used to play until now, but they're going to be part of the ecosystem to allow doctors to be in control on the type of engagement they want.
Fully agree. Romika?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what Mark and Jose Maria also mentioned. Actually, it's the part of the ecosystem now, and we can't, go fully with a complete physical model, because now we know that it's an accepted model of, staying in touch and connecting with the HCPs and doctors. And what I feel is that, over the last year and this year, I think the worst is behind us and we are working towards a new normal. So this new normal has created this whole change in shift in behavior of our, HCPs and the way they consume and can also choose between what they want, in terms of if they can attend a live webinar or they want to really see value in a face-to-face interaction in a physical event. So they can, and now we will also have more and more opportunities and touch points, which are also, cost efficient in terms of, when we have a webinar, as well as we have, more cost, effective, as well as face-to-face events, which could also lead to, different channels of engagement, which are which they see like a different value in it, and they can also pick and choose. And we have an increased number of offerings because now it's more and more like an accepted, channel of, touch point for us, between us and the HCPs. So I think this is, again, this is a part of our mix right now, and we have to see that what is most effective when and at the right time, what is in it for them. And that is what, creates the differentiating factor of whether this is going to be a fully live webinar virtual event, or is it going to be a face-to-face. So that will also be a key decision factor criteria over time to actually, engage the HCPs with the right, event strategy, if you can say it. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Romika. And let's continue to the last question. And let's start once again with you, Jose Maria, which is which role plays AI in customer experience from perspective of virtual events?
It's an interesting topic. I can tell you what I have been trying to achieve or thinking of how to use AI with events, because I think that the main vendors that I have been speaking with that they can provide artificial intelligence, it's right now it's more the ones that I have found it's towards content, and in this case it's about helping us accelerate the adaptation of the content of a congress towards different formats, right? And I think, and this plays a role of having the content in the right time, as Romika was saying. I love that point, because there's a huge hype on that ever since some years ago, that everybody talks about the right time and the right place. But again, I don't think we have achieved it. So in my mind, artificial intelligence is going to help us develop different formats in a quicker way, in a faster way, let's say. And also there is going to allow us to provide personalization at scale. So I have been recently speaking with, again, with some vendors that they can help us create thousands of videos in different languages, addressing people by name in a matter of minutes, and through artificial intelligence. And to me, it sounds like science fiction. Even when I explain it to my colleagues and I tell them that this is possible, they don't believe it until I show it. Because actually, for that demo, I recorded myself. Because people didn't believe me. And but I think that if we are brave to try these things for events, I think we're going to be able to get to a personalization at scale in minutes using artificial intelligence in the short term. And this is obviously going to help, because if you imagine, if you provide the doctor, if you're in every moment of the journey of the doctor and you say, okay, doctor, you received the invitation to join the event, but you didn't participate. Okay, don't worry. We will send you the summary. And then if the doctor already signed up, they will already receive, they can already tell you, I want to receive this information by email, or I don't know, send me the rep. Maybe, like I said, they can be in control, and we can use artificial intelligence to personalize that, and they will have a more meaningful experience. And this is obviously going to bring a digital smile, or well, a real smile to them.
Certainly. Romika?
Yeah, so I would say that in terms of artificial intelligence, we can kind of early engagement with the HCPs during the events and trying to see what their preferences of content are, or what is their journey should look like in the event, and can we predict a journey for based on their behavior, and it's similar to something that we overall work in the web platform strategy. We're using even simple ready algorithms from Einstein. We're not really having too much data of the behavior of the HCPs, but at the same time, can we give okay, you did not show interest in this, maybe a physician of your kind may like these kind of contents, and that's how we sort of can be, increase that approach. And maybe it will not bombard them with too many, because it's also about the timing and the not over loading and overwhelming the HCPs with content during, because I know at this in any event, especially of a Congress scale, there are always a lot of engagement happening from all sides. And how do we sort of keep the focus and engagement throughout that journey and say that, okay, maybe this is of interest to you. And if we can get their acceptance early on and consent and preferences, then also we can predict this journey based on the, the previous behavioral patterns or, what kind of interests that we, and it can be very simple algorithms that could also lead to these, very effective, reach. And I think that's how, we can always start simple and then sort of evolve from it as they go along. And when they leave the journey or the event, at the same time, we have a lot of already data about them to keep engagement on even after the event, which is, our ultimate, I think, win at the end, because they leave the event, but at the same time, they are able to, we still have enough for them to come back also to us through several channels.
Thank you very much, Romika. And Mark, final words, same question.
Well, I think if we take a look at the 3 C's, there's choice, which we've talked about. There's content and different uses of content. And then ultimately what really pushes people, consumers, to consume more about something and shift their habits is convenience. That's been the driving trend of the last 20 years or so, with everything to do with digital, making it easy to get to the things that we need to get and being able to make those choices. So AI has a role at both the micro moments as well as the macro moments, or the journey type of approach across the board. And so I think we will see, as long as there's this continued effort to move towards, to test, to try, you can affect the change and then bring those new solutions forward. But every solution today, I think now in this time period, looking at 2022 and going forward, if any project is not throwing off data that can be useful to the organization in the right way, right? The right assumption of what the data is at the beginning, how you might want to optimize it, and looking at it properly at the end, then really that project shouldn't exist in this day and age, right? We have to get beyond these things of just making a project because subjectively it sounds like a nice idea. It has to be able to contribute to the greater good, so that ultimately physicians get trained and get the content they need more quickly, and the patients get the the result that they're looking for more quickly as well.
With that thoughts, thank you very much, everyone. Of course, Romika, Mark, and Jose Maria, was a pleasure like always. Looking to the next one, and take very good care.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.